guys, we're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm turning the channel over to Brad because I want to go play with his Summit tractor. I haven't got to try it out yet. I want to get on that thing and see what it's made of. So, Brad, it's all you, man.
There's two things you never do. You never let someone else borrow your tractor, and you never let someone borrow your camera. This is going to be a good video, folks. I got Lucas's camera. Not really sure what to say. Lucas is going to try out the Summit TX25. He's got the Kubota BX, which is a subcompact tractor, kind of the smallest frame tractor that any tractor manufacturer makes. And he's looking to get a bigger tractor. And he wants one with a lot of lift capacity, but he also doesn't want a giant tractor. So the Summit kind of falls in between the large compact tractor and the subcompact. So we'll call it like a small frame compact or just a compact tractor. So what he's going to do is he's never been on this size tractor, and if you're not familiar with, say, the brands and their sizes, for a Kubota this would be like a B2601 or something like that, and for a John Deere it would be like the 2 Series, like a 2025. That would be the John Deere kind of mid-size compact tractor. And he's just going to use it. It's got the diverter valve on the front and the grapple. He's just going to use it, kind of see if he likes this size of tractor, because he is like on the verge. I was just reading, he was showing me his text messages. He's getting offers from dealers, really good offers on different brand tractors that are bigger than what he has. So he just wants to look at all his options and determine what's the best tractor for him going forward, because it's a big decision. It's a big purchase. They're not cheap. They last a long time, and nobody should have to drive a tractor they don't like. So put in your research and get the one you want.
Well, this thing's pretty sweet.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. See if I can't tear it up. Oh.
Well, tear it up. Summit might not appreciate that. So we got a pile of logs here. He's just gonna, he doesn't have a true grapple. He has kind of like a converted grapple with a rock bucket from Artilian. So he's just gonna see what a true grapple does and how this tractor operates. So both him and I are very familiar with Kubota tractors that have a treadle pedal, and this has the 2-pedal transmission where one pedal goes forward and one goes backwards. And he was sitting there trying to find the back of the pedal to go backwards, and it don't work that way on a Summit or most any other brand either. The Summit's going to survive this this test drive. Lucas and I have a big contrast in how we do things. He is a get-her-done type of guy. He can get more done, you know, by 9 o'clock than most people can get done in a full day. And I'm very meticulous. So when I would go into that log pile, I would just grab one log, move it, get it where I want it. But he's like a bull in a china shop. 2 different methods, both are effective. That's what works for him. been talking about the fact that you're looking for the next size tractor up from the BX.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of your trial period with what is called a true compact tractor versus a large frame compact tractor.
Yeah, so I will say that there are several surprises here in the fact that even though this is not a lot bigger tractor than the BX, it feels a lot more substantial. Originally, when I bought the BX, it was going to be my very first tractor, and I was a little bit intimidated by the full-size compact tractors. I didn't really want to go that big, and I kind of wanted to learn and start small. But this size of tractor really, it inspires confidence. It's not that big. It's really easy to handle. Everything's intuitive, but it also feels just more capable.
This tractor comes with fluid-filled tires in the rear with rim guard, so it weighs like 3,400 pounds. So I've always found it to be very stable, a very stable platform, and I rarely can pick up enough with the loader to make the back end feel light. How did you feel? You didn't pick up all the logs, but you picked up a couple logs that were sizable. Did you feel rock steady, left to right and front to back?
Oh yeah, the things that I was doing were absolutely well within its range. It performed really well. A couple of things that were tricky for me was I'm used to the Kubota treadle pedal, so I kept, when I wanted to back up, like for instance, he pointed out where I almost took out the grill with that one log. I wanted to back away from that, and I'm kicking my heel back here to nothing because you got to move over and use the second pedal.
What'd you think about the self-leveling loader? It's probably your first time using that.
I have never used a self-leveling loader, and I think it would be super handy in a lot of situations. My question is, can you turn that off?
It's mechanical.
It's mechanical. Okay.
Yeah, it's based on the fact that it hinges in two places here and two places here.
Yeah.
And that was my first question. The Summit was, I want to turn that off. And it's a mechanical self-leveling as opposed to a hydraulic self-leveling.
But you do override the angle by using, two functions at once. And so in that sense, it kind of works the same way. You're just going to have to learn the speed at which you need to do that. I like the fact that it self-levels on the way down as well, because some machines only level on the way up, especially if you're going to do things that you're not supposed to do, like lift people up in a bucket on in a safety rack or whatever. You need to be able to keep it level coming down, and that's the most difficult part.
Yeah, if you're doing a lot of pallet work, unloading stuff, self-leveling is the way to go. When I am going to unload something here at Piney Grove, I'm using this. It lifts almost as much as the Kubota, and I don't have to worry so much about the fork placement because they're level. They stay level.
Right.
So you got rear remotes. You don't really have anything on back here to use the rear remote, but the tractor comes stock with rear remotes. What'd you think about the diverter function?
So the diverter function works very similar to the Artilian diverter function that I have on my Kubota now. And it works about the same way. I've never used a true third function, and I'm at the point where I would like to try that out. It's a little bit jerky when you're trying to clamp and also tilt your bucket at the same time because you have to let off of the button to tilt it. And so if you just use the button and try to feather it, it's hard to be really smooth.
Now, Lucas, you mentioned when you first got on it, he just got on this tractor a few minutes ago. We were shooting a couple other videos. He's down here from Kentucky in North Florida, just hanging out at Piney Grove and just playing or working, I guess, with all the equipment we have here. But he did say some very complimentary things about the Summit tractor, at least the way that it's built, as far as the vibrations, and I think the word you used was it feels very substantial.
Exactly that. When I got on it and fired it up, he just said, hey, the keys are in it, go get the Summit and pull it around here. And so I got on it and fired it up, and the sound of the engine when it fired up, the amount of vibration that you feel, the way all of the loader and the hydraulics, everything function, it all feels like top quality components. And I can't know that that's actually the case until I use one for, a length of time. But when I use my little Kubota BX, and I'm a huge fan of it. I love the Kubota BX, and I have squeezed every ounce of capability out of it. But it seems less refined than this machine when you get on it. This smoothness of just moving the throttle lever. I think the reason I was impressed by it is because I'm used to using a lot of generic pieces of equipment, right? Like Chinese made products, and not all of them are bad quality. I've had good luck with my Mechmax equipment, but there are some types of, like, ATVs. We've had a little Coleman ATV that was made by some off-brand out of China, and everything about it was just cheap plastic that breaks easily. The bolts strip out easily because they're low quality steel. Everything about it is like, it works when it's brand new, but it's not gonna hold up. And you can feel that from the moment you fire it up. There's nothing about this tractor that feels that way. It feels quality made.
I've sat on a Kubota BX. I've never used one. I've used the Kubota B series before, and that's similar in size to this tractor. And I've always felt Kubota is just a really high-end tractor. I really love my L series, L3901. And Lucas is going to get on that in a minute just to experience a large frame tractor, even though I have the loader off of it. But I think that's pretty huge for, you know, a tractor you can buy at Home Depot, that someone that's been a Kubota owner for years now has those complimentary things to say about it. And Lucas has no skin in the game. He's not sponsored by Summit at all.
No, and I'll tell you one other thing about this machine that I noticed right away is that a lot of the things that you have to add when you go buy a Kubota, or probably most of the other brands as well, they come standard on this tractor. So it comes standard with a self-leveling loader and the diverter kit, which is made into a really nice lever right here with a button made into it, so you're not adding a part that's additional, trying to zip tie it on here, or retrofit it with something that's not made for the tractor. He showed me the fact that you can adjust the flow of the hydraulics here, so you can adjust the speed. So if you're more confident in working the hydraulics, you can turn the speed up and make this a much more efficient machine, whereas most, really every other machine I have run, they're just set at kind of a standard, and that means they're making it for the beginner as well as somebody who's owned it for years. Well, once I've owned it a little longer, I'm gonna get better at it and more confident. So I wanna turn up that speed and make it more productive. That's a really cool feature.
You've got that in the standard rear remote. I mean, right. I don't have a remote on the Kubota, that's extra.
Yeah.
And having that rear remote just opens up worlds of possibility. We have a dump trailer, but there's other things you can run with a remote. One thing I've always wanted to run is a grain drill. And a grain drill generally has a cylinder that picks it up.
Yeah.
You can't run that with my Kubota without putting on a $1,000 kit.
Right. So like he said, I don't have a dog in this fight, and chances are I'm not going to go buy a Summit tractor. And that's simply because I'm ready to step up to the full-size frame tractor. But I am about sharing the best value. And you know that from watching my channel. I'm all about the Mech-Mac sawmill because it's the most affordable, but it's still good quality. That's what I'm seeing with this. In fact, this is impressive quality for the price point.
19.5. I went on the Kubota website and I outfitted a Kubota B, I think it's 2601, with everything this tractor has, and it's around $27,000, and this is 19.5. I'm not a salesman for Summit. I've been given the tractor to demonstrate on my channel. I don't get any commission if you buy a Summit, or you buy, I don't get commission.
Yeah.
So I just use it. And Lucas wanted to check it out. He's been talking about wanting to check it out. But before we end this video, let's get on the L series, which would be the next frame size up, and just let's play around with that a little bit and see if you can see a big difference between this compact tractor and a large frame compact tractor.
All right, let's do it.
All right, we just got off of the Summit and had a good little test drive with that. Now, this is the second time that Lucas has been on the Kubota L series. So we got the L3901, but I don't think the first time you really kind of like were assessing it. It was just like another tractor to you because you were happy with your BX, but now you're going to assess it.
Now I've got a sawmill and big logs. That opens up a whole new world that I've got to figure out how to manage those big logs. So I'm thinking bigger tractors.
And this is what I call, or the industry calls, a large frame compact tractor. 39 horsepower at the engine and 32 PTO horsepower. It currently has a Baumolite 48-inch forestry mulcher on it. We're actually going to use that a little bit. But for now, Lucas is just going to kind of drive the tractor around, and we have the loader off of it. So you're not going to be able, but you know how a loader works. So. We're gonna go back to the same place in the woods out front here, and we're actually gonna grind a stump just so we can get used to the PTO and the power. You can't be on a tractor for a couple minutes and get everything out of it, but at least he can get a feel for the visibility as he looks over his shoulder and engaging the PTO and throttling it up and feeling the power difference from the 25 horsepower tractor that he has. But to me, that size tractor, that large frame size, is the best all-around tractor. It's small enough you can get in tight places, but it's big enough and powerful enough with multiple gears in the transmission that you can get a lot of work done. All right, you just drove it over here, but I would imagine that it has a different feel.
It does. It's a bigger frame tractor, but it rides better. I can tell you that. You know, you got bigger tires, more air,
longer wheelbase.
Yeah. So yeah, so it rides better. I've operated it before with the loader, and I kind of know the capabilities there. So I know a lot of the things that I need the upgrade for. This tractor is going to be capable of doing. I'm a big fan of Kubota. I've always loved Kubotas, so everything feels pretty familiar to me in terms of how it all operates.
So you're interested in the TYM 2515, and I did a major review. I walked around it. I started it up at a local dealer here, and I actually took a tape measure, and I felt like it's the same size as this tractor. Right. So size-wise, not power-wise, the way you fit in between the seats, the fenders, you just sit in this differently than the tractor that you just drove, the Summit. How does that feel?
So I really like the feel of it. You know, I mentioned when I was buying my very first tractor, I was a little intimidated by tractors. And you know, that's something a lot of guys are probably not going to admit, but it is what it is. I'd never owned one, so I wanted to stay away from something that was so big that I was going to feel like I was afraid of it. And that's part of why I settled on the BX. Now, it made it really useful to be able to get in tight places and all of that, but now I've got my trails done. I've got things opened up. I have more space, and I'm comfortable with how a tractor operates. So I get on this and it feels pretty natural now. So I don't think there's anything at all to be afraid of. I'm ready for a bigger machine, and this feels really comfortable. And that's what I've been telling him. We've been friends for 4 years now, and that's what I've been telling him is he's like, man, I can't deal with a tractor this big. It won't get into the spaces that I get into with my BX. But when you look at the dimensions of this large frame compact, and I'm not going to talk about Kubota versus TYM versus John Deere, but just the frame size, it's not that much bigger. It might be a foot longer. It might be 6 inches wider. So you're not going to be limited in the spaces that you can go into. But with the smaller tractors, you're limited by how big an implement you can put on the back. You can always put a smaller implement on a bigger tractor, but you can't put a bigger implement on a smaller tractor, or if you do, don't expect it to last as long as the manufacturer, you know, built it for, because you're going to be using it at its peak performance and its peak limits, and nothing operates for a long time at its absolute peak performance limit. So that's honestly my biggest concern. I put just last week, I put the biggest log on my mill that I have ever placed. It was about 16 inches diameter and over 16 foot long, and it was past the abilities of the Kubota BX. And I'm pretty sure that I bent something in my 3-point system, because now my PTO engagement lever switch doesn't work, and it's because that lever's bent. Well, all of that stuff is kind of tied together in a tight space. So that's what I'm running into, is everything I go to do is beyond its limits. So I'm bending and breaking things, and it's just gonna, it's gonna be cost prohibitive, not to mention it's bad business for the channel if I'm using a piece of equipment in a way that it's not designed to be used. Yeah, we try to put across, content creators, we try to be honest, put across good information so you guys can make decisions. I never want to be the person that makes the decision for you, but I want to present you with machinery that's being used the way it's intended to use, and then you make a determination, you know, how to make your purchases and how to make your decisions based on that. And us abusing equipment, just, it isn't right to the equipment, it's not right to our viewers, and we'd rather just give you good, honest information. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this video, but we just wanted to kind of drive the point home that as content creators, we're trying to do our best to give you guys accurate information so that you can go out and make informed purchases. We are not, you know, going to tell you buy Kubota,
buy Summit, buy TYM, because I think that's such a personal decision and so dependent on your particular need. So we're just trying to show you the capabilities of tractors. We're trying to take someone that hasn't been on this size of a tractor and show you what he sees right away and just give you guys that type of information. But I'm gonna stop talking because I'm gonna hand the channel back over to Lucas and let him close it out.
All right, Brad, well listen, I appreciate you letting me be in this video today. Guys, I wanna tell you, sometimes in the comments, I'll get people that say, you talk too much, or you're telling us about this or that experience that's not relevant. We're trying to share with you the things that we learn and how we're using our equipment so that you can take that and adapt it to whatever your needs are, because we can't operate in the same circumstances that you're operating in, but we can share our experiences and our thought processes. And so that's where we're at. And I have been over the last several months talking about how I'm going to upgrade tractors. And eventually I am going to do that. I'm not just doing this for content, but I have to make the right decision. And I also, there's a business side of this in deciding which tractor that I want to be using on my channel. That being said, this was great information to get to come here and try 2 different size tractors that are larger than the Kubota BX. I got to go into kind of the mid-size compact tractor with the Summit. And while I was really impressed with that machine, I think that at this point, I will step past that size on up to the full compact size tractor, because I know I'm going to be lifting at max capacity. On like the L Series, they lift, what Brad, 1,200 pounds?
A little bit less, about 1,100.
Yeah, so I'm going to still be working the loader at near capacity with this size of a tractor. I can't afford to go any bigger, so I'm going to be looking at which tractor is going to give me the most bang for my buck in lift capacity. Trying to do that with the mid-size, the smaller compact, is just not going to work for me. I'm ready to step past that. Brad helped me to make that decision today, so I really appreciate him letting me try out his equipment. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed Brad hosting today's video. I'm a little bit afraid to watch what we've got on film now.
I'll see. It'll be interesting to see what he cuts out.
Yeah, it will. Well, guys, listen, we appreciate you watching. Till next time, don't forget to get outside and enjoy God's creation. It's beautiful out here.
And don't forget to tractor hard.
Y'all have a good day.
Take care.